To the NFL show on the Grilly True Sports Network. As always, the NFL show is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Check out betting.net. And betting-wise, I had a very good week, Dan and Steve. I hit a 3-team parlay for $300 on college basketball and nailed both NFL games yesterday. And since I nailed them both, that means somebody didn't nail them both, Dan. So what were our numbers for the week?
Well, sorry, Steve, but Mike and I both got the Bengals and the 49ers correct. You, unfortunately, did not.
And what place am I still in?
Tied for first with me.
First place
Okay,
tied.
but still in first.
You are no longer by yourself, though.
I didn't say that. I said, but I'm still in first.
I've been
And what
first,
place
too.
are you still in, Dan?
I'm in first.
Dan,
Tied
what
for
place
first,
are you
and
still in?
I'm irrelevant.
You're dead ass
and,
last.
And Joseph is back, and he starts off with a who day. So Joe must have got safely back from Kansas City in the war zone that was the AFC Championship game. And the good thing I know is this. I mean, two of our teams are in the Super Bowl, Steve. It's the Bengals and the Lions. And the reason I say the Lions, because this is the closest they'll ever get to the Super Bowl. Because Matt Stafford's the quarterback and Eminem's playing at halftime.
I'm so excited for my boy Staff. I'm so excited.
Eminem's from Michigan, Steve, if you didn't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is that the white Eminem that's playing?
There's only one white Eminem. There's
I
only
thought
one
there was
Eminem.
a Eminem of a different color too, but I could be wrong on that.
Only in the bag with the chocolate covered peanuts. I think that's the only time there's more than one.
I don't listen to rap music, or if it ain't 1970s disco or anytime country,
Disco?
it doesn't have it in my heart.
Disco. All right, let's start off with the
Hey,
first
one
game
other
of the
thing,
weekend.
Mike.
Sure.
Give you some advice here. Living in a big city, not like Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
I'll give you some advice too. Turn your damn light off. It's shining on your head.
I know,
It makes you look like a freaking
I
angel.
I can't get up and do it right now. I will fix that on the next episode. I apologize. After all, I am such glaringly
No,
good
but
beauty.
you look like an angel, Steve. I mean, I'm stunned by your
know.
beauty, and I can tell by the look on Dan's face. He looks like Patrick Mahomes in the second half when he looks at Joe Burrow.
Are you shaving today, Dan?
No, I'm not shaving today.
So you're totally copping out on that bet.
I still don't
So
think it was an
you're
bet.
basically you're basically just a lying pack of shit.
Yes, I am.
I can't put it any more bluntly than that.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm going to do, I mean, here we go.
Anyway, Mike, back to you.
Steve Ramsey says I'm the best, so there you go.
There you go. Yeah,
Thank you, Steve.
Yes.
Coming from Steve Ramsey, that means
You don't even know who the hell that
is.
is. All right, let's go ahead and get the show started.
No, I got to give you some advice. Don't talk
Okay.
about your earned wealth on radio, because there might be some people that come in with AR-15s with double and come in and take your money tonight, all $300 of it.
I got $300?
Isn't that what you told me today? How you won $300 betting?
Oh, I just said it right there. It doesn't matter because I just leave it in there until I lose.
We'll talk
it.
about
Then I
your
leave it
wealth
out and
on
I just
TV.
have fun. I don't
You
think
don't hear
$300 is
Dan.
wealth.
You don't hear.
Remember, Steve, I live in a trailer park, so I mean, $300 is like, I mean,
Yeah,
a lot
pays
of money.
your electricity, your propane for the year, I'm sure.
All right, right now, Joe has a request. Dan, if you're not going to shave, then you at least have to say "Who Day."
Who day?
That
There
doesn't
you go.
mean shit.
Hold on,
It's a
here we
cop-out,
go.
Dan. It's an
What
absolute
really
cop-out.
went wrong with the GOAT kid last night? The GOAT kid is Joe Burrow. I agree. Mahomes was awful. Next up, Steve said, "Ha. Thank you, Mike." All right, so let's go ahead. Let's look at what happened to Tony Romo's pet goat, which would be Patrick Mahomes, as he took off his cape in the overtime. Number one, I find Tony Romo really terrible. And I think he's gotten worse as he's gone on. But let's look at this game. The first half, I think, is what everybody expected. The Chiefs come out, dominate the game. It was just like their previous encounter. The thing that struck me over here was the arrogance of Andy Reid. And being on the 2 or 3 yard line when you could go up 24-10, to then not only call a play, but to throw it behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, my problem with Andy Reid is he's a great offensive genius, but I think a lot of times he's trying to show everybody how smart he is, and he outsmarts himself. He did it last year in the Super Bowl, Dan. 14-6, he's up, or 14-6, he's down. Tom Brady's got the ball at midfield. Andy Reid used the timeout. It stopped the clock. He didn't get the ball back. What he got was a touchdown from Tom Brady to make the game 21-6. And when you look at this is twofold. He said that he called the play, which if he did, may explain to us why Eric Bieniemy doesn't have a head coaching job. And if he didn't call the play, that might explain to us why Eric Bieniemy doesn't have a coaching job, Dan.
Yeah, honestly, dude, when you're up 21-3 and you have the talent that the Kansas City Chiefs have, you have the coaching that the Chiefs have, you can't lose that game. I don't know what they did at halftime, but while the Bengals were making adjustments and while the Bengals were changing things up on defense, Kansas City must have been chilling in the locker room, sipping on some beer and watching some TV or something, because they weren't making the proper adjustments. They got embarrassed in that second half.
Yeah,
Andy Reid should be ashamed of himself.
Both games came down to coaching, and Zach Taylor, who I know a month ago I was still giving a hard time, but I don't anymore. And I know Dan even said he was terrible, I think, last week, which I'm not going to blame Dan because it's probably me implanting it in Dan's head. But the thing I do notice is this. When you play 2 second halves, and those 2 second halves, Steve, one team beats the other team 34-6. There's a coaching disparity there. I mean, I didn't see any changes from the Chiefs. I saw a lot of changes from the Bengals headed into that second half.
Yeah, I think the Bengals made the right moves, and I think the Bengals really what they did was they believed in themselves and stayed with what they were doing. They took the hit, took the run. What amazes me is teams like Kansas City. They start playing not to lose, and they get out in the second half of that ball game. They start going very conservative in their play calling. I noticed that Mahomes was throwing the ball short, trying to throw these damn screen plays out in the flats, not pushing the ball upfield, what Mahomes is known for. Dancing around in the pocket like, what the hell are you doing back there? Throw the damn ball away. Don't show me you can dance. I don't need to see that. If you ain't got anything, chuck in the cheap sheets. But I think that I applaud the Bengals and Zach Taylor for just staying to his game plan and doing what they were doing and having confidence in his young quarterback that he's not going to falter. He's going to come through, and they're going to start clicking. And then here comes Andy Reid or whoever's making the calls for that team, letting Mahomes go back there. I would have took Mahomes down, slapped him in the head, a la George Patton, and said, "You're being a coward. Throw the ball away. Don't sit there and dance back there like you're going up with some miracle play." Well, and keep pushing the ball up, keep throwing it downfield. Let's keep starting to score. Let's just not take time off the clock. I've seen it in the Colts. The Colts do it all the time too. They get a big lead, and then they do the same damn thing. A lot of coaches and teams do it in all sports, and it drives me crazy.
Well, to me, what I saw in the second half was as we got deeper and deeper into the third quarter, especially after they got stopped once or twice. Remember what we talked, Dan, about Kyler Murray and how he looked like he was in over his head and the game moved too fast? Patrick Mahomes had the exact same look on his face during that game in the second half.
Well said.
He was 8 for 18. He threw 2 interceptions. And I think when you watch him, the thing that strikes me with Patrick Mahomes, and this is why I think Joe Burrow is better, is why I think Josh Allen is better. And I also noticed, I just said that, and you didn't squint like you had to poop like you normally do, Dan. But the thing about him is his feet are horrible. I mean, he scrambles around, and when he scrambles around, a lot of times he's got his feet too far apart. He can't throw the ball accurately. And when they took Tyreek Hill away, because Tyreek Hill seemed like he had 1,000 yards receiving in the first half, didn't catch a ball in the second half. Travis Kelce was shut down. A guy who I don't think gets enough credit here, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is Eli Apple, who made the play at the end of the first half. He dropped a pick 6, which I know every Bengal fan in the world was thinking about Lewis Billups in Super Bowl 23. But this team is different. And even down 21-3, I didn't think that they were dead. And I mean, that is the thing that makes this team dangerous. Dan,
that was to you, buddy.
I'm struggling grasping what happened in this game a little bit because it really was the tale of two halves. And when a guy's got the scrambling ability of Patrick Mahomes or somebody like that, yeah, sure, his footwork may not be the prettiest, but more often than not, he gets the job done. I just think part of the issue was he got too cute. Like Steve said, it was too much running around.
He's Andy
He got
Reid.
away with it in the first half.
He's Andy Reid.
He got away with it in the first half. I mean,
the apple don't fall too far from the tree.
He got too cocky. He thought he was Michael Vick blended with, Peyton Manning, and that he could just run around, and then when he wanted to, just put the ball right on the spot. And it worked in the first half. That scramble touchdown that he threw to Kelsey was a thing of magic, and that was a hell of a highlight. 18 of 22 in the first half, 3 touchdowns, no picks. But, it didn't work in the second half. 8 of 18, 55 yards, 2 picks, 4 sacks, no touchdowns, 3 points. I love me my Patrick Mahomes, and I still think he's the best quarterback in the league.
Jeez.
But
that is just stupid. But go ahead.
No, it's not stupid. You gotta stop calling it stupid. Nah,
because
if Burrow wins, you're just gonna take it even higher than it is now. And the fact of the matter is, Mahomes done things that Burrow's going to do first.
He did it first because he got to the NFL first. And you know what? There's never been a quarterback that has won a Heisman Trophy, a national championship, and a Super Bowl.
That's right.
And there is the possibility, if the Bengals win this game, that he will have done that in a 3-year time span. What I see here, Joseph said, Dan, I was still there, and I don't believe what I saw either. But the thing that strikes me is, when you look at this game, the only thing that shocked me, Dan, wasn't the comeback. It was the fact that the offensive line for the Bengals played really well. They gave up 1 sack. I mean, Burrow had to run a few times, scramble, but Jackson Carman was inserted into the game late first half, early second half at guard, which really made the line a lot better. I thought Jonah Williams played well. Quentin Spain played well. He's the one guy that always does play well. But it shocked me coming off a game where they give up 9 sacks to be able to game plan a game where you're only getting sacked 1 time. That is coaching, because I don't think these guys all of a sudden became great. I just think the game plan and the scheme was better than what Kansas City's was.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're 100% right. And I got to give kudos to Cincinnati, man. I really do. I've been saying it all year on a week-to-week basis over random things. I'm not easily impressed. Things that happen just don't impress me for whatever reason. Been there, done that, seen it all. But this is one of those times, man. When you're talking about how their game plan changed and what they did and how their offensive line stepped up, how their defense stepped up, those were huge keys. The defense stepping up to match this Kansas City offense, and that offensive line for the Bengals protecting Burrow, which they couldn't do all year. They didn't do against the Tennessee Titans, but they showed up. Kudos to them, and kudos to that coaching staff.
And my difference, Steve, between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes is this. In the Super Bowl last year, when his O-line fell apart, he looked like he did yesterday in the second half. And he looked like that again when it fell apart. So I noted Dan called me, an effing moron, the first time I ever made this claim. But I don't care how many more years he's played in the NFL and what he's done. When you watch Joe Burrow in the pocket, he never panics. Patrick Mahomes panics.
Well, he looked panicky. He looked panicky yesterday.
Steve.
That's for sure.
Go ahead, Steve. Dan didn't need to interrupt you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I don't,
drink your beer, Dan.
Have much of anything intelligent to say anymore. Anyway, I think that if we're looking at the Patrick Mahomes 2 years ago, we're looking at a completely different Patrick Mahomes. There's expectations on him now that weren't there, pressure on him that wasn't there. And, he's not handling it well right now. I think there's a lot of things that went wrong. I think they got to halftime with a 18-point lead, and
it was 11 at halftime. The Bengals had scored on
got to an 18, and they just believed they couldn't get beat, and they got beat by a young kid who has the poise of a guy who's got 5 more years seasoning under his belt than he does, and I don't think that's going to go away. And he got smacked, and it's a wake-up call for Mahomes more than anything right now. You better change your song and dance, or you will get passed by everybody, not just Mike Goodpaster, who thinks that Burrow's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I don't think that yet. I'm going that way.
Better, Steve?
I'm moving that way, but he's got to do a little bit more than these 2 years, to me, to anoint somebody that lofty position of being the measuring stick, the gold standard in the NFL.
Yeah, but didn't we anoint Mahomes after just one Super Bowl?
I never anointed Mahomes.
I
still believe Brady and Aaron Rodgers were better than Mahomes.
No way. I don't think that Mahomes and Rodgers, to me, both have the same issue.
We're talking 2 years ago. We're talking 2 years ago now.
Yeah, 2 years.
And I'm saying right now, I think that your top 3 are who we talked about. Burrow's in the driver's seat right now because he's playing in the Super Bowl. Josh Allen, and then you put Mahomes in that group of 3. And then you've got a secondary group of Herbert, Justin Herbert, and some other guys that fit into that group too. I wish I could count Carson Wentz in there, but ain't no goddamn way that's going to happen.
Hey, you're not supposed to use the word
I was going to correct myself before you got there. Give somebody a chance.
I'm sorry, Steve. Shit.
I corrected myself before you got there.
I apologize, Steve.
All right. I understand the minute it came out of my mouth, like you have the other things to do, it was stupid to say.
Oh, yeah, me too. So
I right now, if I had $1 billion sitting in my bank account, I would go to who's the idiots that own the Bengals?
Oh, the Brown family.
I would go to the Brown family and say, I'll write you a check for Burrows right now for $1 million. $1 billion. I'll give you here's $1 billion check. Give me Burrow for the Colts.
Yeah, they couldn't because then the city would probably go burn his house down if he did. So
yeah, I know, but that should be fine too. It'd make you happy too.
The city's been close before to burning his house down.
But I think basically your boy Opie, which you like to call, all of a sudden he's starting to look like a little bit better football coach now.
Hey, you know, right now,
he's looking like a better coach.
I use Opie as a term of endearment now.
Mm-hmm, right. Mm-hmm.
I love Andy Griffith. Who doesn't love Andy Griffith?
I was talking to that with another dear friend of ours earlier today about how you ripped that poor coach a new butthole every time you breathe air out of your mouth.
Yeah, because he was horrible. That's what happens when you're horrible.
People get better, Mike. People learn and get better.
I never said that he wouldn't get better. I said that he sucked at the time.
He coached a good game.
He coached a great game.
He put his trust and faith in his quarterback.
He coached a great game.
And, and it goes from there. And I love what Riser came up with. It's now called what? How do you write it here? Where'd it go?
Hold on.
Bengal ball. We got Bengal ball now.
Yeah.
I like that. Steve, good call on that. We can start talking and selling Bengal ball.
There you go.
This game should not be a surprise to us. I think what's a surprise to us is the way it manifested itself.
Mm-hmm.
But, you two guys picked the Bengals. So, and I went with the old guard, being a conservative person that I am. But you guys flat out took the Bengals to win the game.
Dan didn't. Dan took the points.
I did take the points. I still thought it was Mahomes or bust.
And the great marriage here might be Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow. They may grow into this thing together.
That is
being a good coach.
I think he grew into it with the 49ers game where he took the ball out of Burrow's hands. He kicked the field goal, and then Garoppolo went the length of the field and won the game in overtime. I think ever since then, he realized, I got this guy. I might as well let him play. Hold on. Here's Joe. Joe actually hated Opie Taylor more than I did. He said he's a good head coach, but not the best play caller.
But he's going to get better. When you got Joe Burrow, you're going to get better.
Yeah, the key to being a great coach is having great players.
Right, and Joe Burrow is going to make Zach Taylor a better football coach.
Yeah, because let's face it, if we stuck Bill Belichick with the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, things probably ain't going to work out too good for him there either.
And Brady
they may probably win 9 games with him.
those two, like we've said all along,
Tom
Brady
Brady
and
gets.
Belichick made each other better, coaches and players. Each one was a
Belichick was already a legend. Just Super Bowl 25 as
well,
a
I don't know that he
defensive
was a
coordinator.
legend, but he was
Oh,
on his way to being a legend.
what he did to the Buffalo Bills at Super Bowl 25
Okay.
was one of the bigger
So,
shocks.
and I'm not surprised by it, and I didn't pick the Bengals.
You know something that bothers me? What bothers me is when somebody gets mad at me because I was wrong about something, and I have sat here for a month, haven't I, Dan? And basically slowly apologized to this guy and told everybody that he was doing a good job now. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to sit here when he's 5-26 and he's burning all of his timeouts at the start of the second half? He has none left to get the ball back. What am I supposed to do? Sit here and say, oh, shit, guys, just give it 2 years. He'll be fine. That would be asinine and stupid. So anybody who wants to complain because I have an opinion, probably shouldn't even watch
Are
the
you
show.
talking to me?
No, I'm talking to anybody out there because I know
Oh.
there's more than one person that gives me that crap. And my thing is this, I have not stuck by that. When I was wrong, did I not admit it?
I haven't heard you admit it yet.
Really?
No.
Dan, have
No.
you heard it?
I
Yeah,
haven't heard
no,
you admit it, and I haven't seen Dan
I
say yet.
have not said that he was doing a good job.
Yeah, Mike's changed his tune. He's changed.
I mean,
his
I've
tune
said
as
it for the
season
last
went
4
on.
weeks, ever since the
Yeah.
Kansas City game.
You're getting there.
He's getting there.
You realize you've got a good thing going in Cincinnati for the next.
Well, here you
Career.
go. Joe made a funny. He says, "Yeah, I agree with the great player comment. I sure did make Mike's job a lot easier back in the day." All right, I've still got the films, Joe. We can break them out, buddy. Nah.
I think that the pinnacle has shifted to 3 new guys or put themselves on top of the stature of NFL quarterbacks. I think the other 2 have dropped a little bit below them. If either of them even comes back, well, Rodgers is just egotistically going to come back. He's not going to not play.
He
Brady,
didn't
I
get the
don't
Jeopardy
know.
job. What else is he going to do?
He didn't get it. Yeah, he's got to go play football again. But anyway, it's a great dynasty in the making right now to watch it go and watch it take off right from the ground level.
All right, guys. Anything else we want to talk about with the Bengals Chiefs, or are we ready to move on?
Actually, yes. 2 quick
Okay.
things. One, this was this game tied the largest comeback.
With Steve's Colts.
That's right. It's the Colts, 18 points back in 2006 against the Pats. Peyton Manning brought him back in the AFC Championship. And the Kansas City Chiefs were 28-0 when up 18 points under Mahomes. And now they have 1 loss there.
Yeah, but remember this. The Bengals hadn't won a playoff game in 30-something years. They'd never won an away playoff game. Hell, the scary thing is this. I'm the same age as the Bengals, 53. Until this year, I'd seen 5 playoff wins. I've seen 3 in the last 3 weeks. I mean, right there tells you what you need to know about Joe Burrow. This is the biggest turnaround in NFL history. There's never been a team to make the Super Bowl coming off of 5 or 6 wins the previous 2 years. 2 years ago, the Bengals were talking about who was going to be the first pick in the draft. Now they could be the last guys picking in the draft just 2 years later. And the thing that's amazing to me still, the Bengals played the Dolphins at Miami. They were down 15 points in the 4th quarter. Andy Dalton plays out his mind, even throws a Hail Mary to send the game to overtime. If the Bengals would have lost that game, they would have lost Joe Burrow. On top of that, if Burrow doesn't get hurt against the Washington Redskins, I think they were called that at the time. It might have still been the football team, but I'm old, so it's the Redskins. They wouldn't have got Jamar Chase. And when you talk about free agency, I mean, the Bengals and the Rams have probably done the best job at that this last year. I mean, Trey Hendrickson, Trey Flowers people don't talk about Trey Flowers, but Trey Flowers is why Travis Kelce, a big reason why Travis Kelce didn't get much in 2 games. You know, Eli Apple was a guy that he screws everything up and then he makes a damn play. Owuzie, who was with the Dallas Cowboys, is a lot better than what he was with the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you look at that, and Riley Reif until he got hurt was a huge addition. And CJ Uzama looks like he may be able to play in 2 weeks. I think it may just be an MCL strain. So before we go to the Rams, oh, no, it's the same comment. Here we go. So did Brady retire or not? Last time I heard, Tom Brady says that he changes his mind almost hourly. So I think we're waiting on that, Steve.
Me?
Yeah. Do you think he's going to retire or do you think he's going to play again?
You know, that's as hard a call as it is easy to say whether Rodgers is going to retire. The bigger question for Rodgers is he going to play with the Packers again, and I think he'll do that too. I don't think there's probably a lot of teams that want to invest what the Packers are going to want for Rodgers.
Yeah, almost 40.
They're going to want first round picks, and you got a guy who's maybe got 2 years left, if that, truthfully. And there's no team really he can go to that isn't already locked with a good quarterback. That, you know, unless he wants to come to Indianapolis, but I don't know that Colts have the talent that Green Bay has. So, you know, I don't know.
Unless Devontae Adams comes with him. Then it could work out. You could have Devontae Adams, Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton for 6 games out of the season. Save Hilton for the playoffs. Hell, just bring him out then. Maybe he can make it through them. Steve Ramsey says... Anyway,
I think Brady, you know, if I could get up every morning and look at Giselle getting out of bed and putting on her bikini and going out in my $2 million boat and putzing around Tampa Bay and out into the Gulf, and why do I want to put myself through another year? What's that man got left to prove?
I don't know.
What does he have left to prove, really? What,
I think this. I think the reason Brady has been better to Rodgers and guys like that is the fact that Brady, much like the Montanas and the Bradshaws and the Unitas of the past, his goal is to go down as the greatest quarterback of all time.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it can only go downhill from here.
I think a lot of guys, their goal is just to make as much money as they can now.
Right, and you got to realize, you got to remember, Brady's wife is a billionaire.
Yeah, she's got more money.
She's worth 3 times, 4 times the money he's worth. Her swimsuit line, her clothing lines that she has that sell in, you know, South America, all over the world. I mean, my God, she's 3 to 4 times wealthier than he is. I'd be right now, rather than perfecting a new offense for Aaron's, I'd be perfecting my relationship with my wife and make sure that thing doesn't go south. Because that's a heck of a lot of cash.
Wait a second. If he does, though, doesn't he get half of it since she's got more than him?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was telling my wife the other day.
Steve Ramsey says, all curses broken. Now, we still got to break the Super Bowl curse, though, Steve. Also, if you're a Bengals fan, there will be probably a Bengals show every night starting tomorrow night from here on out. 8 o'clock tomorrow night, the Bengals Weekly Show with myself.
No homer going there, is there, Dan? No homerness going on there.
Nah, you guys.
You can do a Colt show or a Lions show, but nobody would care. But we'll have, of course, as always, my co-host Ty Robbins and Joe Kelly, former Bengal linebacker, Super Bowl 23. And our special guest tomorrow night will be David Fulcher, who was an all-pro safety back in that Super Bowl year.
You got Fulcher coming on?
Yeah, David Fulcher will be on.
Man, can I come on and ask you some stupid questions?
No, but Super Bowl week, we can get him to come on with us if you want.
Yeah, we got the Jamaicans too, don't forget.
Yeah, we will have them also. But yeah, David Fulcher, I already have a commitment from Reggie Williams, former Bengal city councilman and starting linebacker for 16 years. I think the greatest Bengal linebacker of all time. He'll be on the show next week. And we got some other guests that are going to be lined up too. So,
hey, and Mike?
Yeah.
Who's going to be sponsoring all those shows?
Betting.net.
What do we know about betting.net?
Well, to me, Steve, I would think this. I think we know that it's not just sports betting. I think betting.net compares to best online casinos. So sit back, relax, take a drink of beer like Dan does every 12 seconds on this show, and play some online slots, poker, and table games. So make sure you check them out at betting.net. I think that was our best plug yet. Pat on the back to Steve Risley. All right, next up, we have the NFC Championship game. Jimmy Garoppolo did Jimmy Garoppolo things, as he always does, but unfortunately, unlike the week before, he did them in the second half here. Dan, you averted your nightmare of Jimmy G in the Super Bowl again. He didn't play poorly, but when they needed something done, he couldn't get it done. And Matthew Stafford was cold as ice in that second half, down by 10 points.
Matt Stafford, you know what? This man needs to get the love that he deserves, the love that I have for him as my former quarterback. I don't know. I mean, the only thing he has to do is win the Super Bowl. Win the Super Bowl, and after you do that, get fitted for your jacket because you're going in the hall, bro. That's all that's left. That's my boy. I love me some Stafford. And then on the flip side,
do you think one Super Bowl gets him into the Hall of Fame?
I'm going to say yes.
Really?
Because we've seen guys get in with less and have less stats.
We've seen guys with more not get in, too.
That's true, but it's one of those. I think it'd be like the perfect storybook ending for a guy like this. Start in Detroit, the dregs of the NFL, make the playoffs a couple of times, win 11 games.
Detroit's not in Cleveland, Dan. Come on. Go ahead.
Detroit sucks. Everything about Detroit sports is just awful. And he made the playoffs. He made the playoffs with the Detroit friggin' Lions, okay? They didn't win a game. They were clearly not going to win either of those games, but he made it. That's what counts. And then he goes from just a terrible franchise, terrible situation, no offensive line, no running game, no defense, no decent coaching for a decade. And then he goes to LA, and his first year there, they make the Super Bowl. They paid a hefty price for this man, and he's stepping up. I need them to win a chip so he can get the legitimate love he deserves nationwide. And then on the flip side, thank God that Jimmy Garoppolo did not make the Super Bowl. I can deal with Joe Burrow and all the love he gets. He deserves it. And all the love the Bengals are going to get, they deserve it. They've earned their place. No hate at all.
Dan, real quick, you got to see Joe's question. He says you should call around and find out what prison Vontaze Burfict is in and have him on.
Nah, y'all don't want that.
No, that was good. But the problem is, I don't think Vontaze ever got in trouble off the field. It was only on the field.
Yeah, it was just on the field.
If I'm going to go to a prison and look for somebody, it'd probably be Ray Maliuga. All right, Rams 49ers. Same question to you, Steve. And here's my opinion real quick. I think as long as Dan Fouts is in the Super Bowl or in the Hall of Fame, Matthew Stafford should get it if he wins. But I don't think that Matthew Stafford is actually a Hall of Fame quarterback yet. Do you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I haven't even looked at his career stats to see where he ranks in all those categories. I don't know. He's got 12 years in the league, doesn't he? So,
right.
I mean,
he's
not a spring chicken. I think this is right now what this is evolving to is a great cap on his career. He's still got a zippy arm. He can still throw the ball deep and get it downfield. Funny, I was sitting here and at about 4 o'clock, I was waiting to see if we were going to even do this show this evening. And I thought, I want to watch something inspirational, something good, something Olympic related because the Olympics are starting this week. And so I put on Miracle. And I don't know, I'm sure you both have watched Miracle. Mike, I know you have.
I have. I my problem with Miracle was kind of like the movie about Muhammad Ali. I kind of knew everything about it already, and they didn't really give anything new. But
I know where I was. I was in Hilton in East Lansing, Michigan, or Michigan, Ann Arbor, I think, one of the two places, getting ready to play a game on the road when we watched that game. And it was actually a tape-delayed game. They didn't even show it live.
Yeah, the game was actually at 5 o'clock. And
they showed it at 8 o'clock that night.
It at 8, yeah.
But fortunately, there was no internet. There was no internet back then, so the word didn't get around.
Well, all you had to do was leave the TV off and the radio off. That's what I did. So no radio, no TV. I waited until 8 o'clock.
And we did because we were at practice pregame. But anyway, what Herb Brooks says, when he picks his team on the first day, and how much of that's factual or fictional, I'm sure in the archives of the Grueling Truth, there's a radio podcast or an article about that too. But anyway, I was watching it and he said, you cut everybody down to the final team after one practice. He goes, well, yeah, these are the guys I want. Well, you left a lot of superstars off his team. He says, I don't want superstars. I want players who will play their position and contribute what they can contribute. And to me, that's the point I'm trying to get to here in long ways, which I usually take, is that's what Matt Stafford is to me, to the Rams. He's a player who is in the upper echelon of quarterbacks, talent-wise alone, even at Detroit. He was always highly regarded as a good quarterback on just a poor football team, sadly, for him. And yet now he's capping his career off in a great way, going to end it with a great team or a good team, possibly a Super Bowl champion team. And, he's going to validate himself in his playing ability, but individually to say that he is up there with the upper quarterbacks in the NFL over the history of the league. If he comes back and wins 3 or 4 of the next Super Bowls, or 5 or 6 Super Bowls,
I think that's unfair. How about this, Steve? If he just has another great 3 or 4 years, makes the playoffs every time, and he wins this Super Bowl,
then I think he elevates into the Hall of Fame.
We have a question here that's been driving me nuts, and this is something we've all talked about before. Mark Boo, who looks like he's a 49er fan, said people said the 49ers and the Rams game was fixed. All right, Mark, which people? Now, here is my thing. I think this. We've seen fixed sporting events before. I think that you could have a player or an official undertake. Do I think the games are fixed? I am going to hope that they're not. And I am just going to watch the games. Because this is the thing, Mark. You got a 49er insignia up there. And I know when the 49ers lost to Seattle, people said the same thing. Hell, the Bengals-Chiefs game. When I go on Chiefs fan boards, everybody's, well, the NFL wanted the Bengals to win. Yes, because they didn't want Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. But, I mean, when you look at this, why would we even watch if this is the WWE? Because let's face it, you shouldn't be watching professional wrestling past the age of 12. Sorry, Dan. But, and all the people in my trailer park. But when I look at this, and I'll get you guys' opinions, I think it's really hard, especially because most of the people that have this conspiracy theory think that, like, the players and everything are undertake. I think it's impossible to have all these players know what's going on and to throw a game and not have a couple of them come out, or probably more than a couple, come out 10 years after they retired and they need money and write a book telling everything that happened. What do you think, Dan?
I don't think this game was fixed. I mean, I've been Googling, like, what this is, why people are saying that, because I've seen it on Twitter, but
I have an opinion on why they say it, Dan.
What's that?
Because their team lost.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. And this isn't the first time that 49ers fans cry that the game was fixed or rigged in some way, shape, or form.
Now, was there anything in this game that you saw that would make you think it was fixed? Because, to tell you the truth, I'm a Bengals fan. I forgot this game was even on until the third quarter.
No, I watched every play of both games very intently, very entertaining. But nah, man, nothing stood out to me of any egregious penalties that weren't there, or not calling penalties that were so clear that you had to call and they just didn't, or the refs spotting the ball incorrectly or something crazy like that. Nah, man, not buying it.
All right, Steve, what's your opinion? And then we'll get to Steve Ramsey's question.
Yeah.
Do you think the Rams-Niners was fixed? Do you think the NFL is fixed?
I don't, and I'll just refer back to the non-fictional version of the 1919 Black Sox. Those guys couldn't go to the end of the damn World Series before one of them started pissing and moaning about it being fixed. I don't think you can put 22 players in the mix and somebody not get pissed off.
Really, this is 106 players in a game, or 53.
Yeah. So, but I'm just talking about take the starting offense and defense. If I was going to fix a game, the only person I'd go after real quickly in the games the last 2 weeks would be the kicker. Should quietly pay him $1 million and say miss the kick.
Yeah,
or make
that would be.
you know
And this is the thing. I have no doubt that
if he
there's
gets
been.
that chance.
I have no doubt that there's NFL games that have been fixed, especially 60s, 50s,
not
70s, where they
in
were
the
made.
modern era of football, Mike. I
Actually,
can't.
there is actually a ton of proof that 133 games were fixed by the mob from 1960 to 1975. Dan
Really?
Modella
Well,
wrote a book about it, but that's when players, I mean, were sometimes. I just wrote an article about Paul Robinson, who was the AFL Rookie of the Year for the Bengals in 1968,
yeah.
and he was a one-year wonder. But the thing
But isn't
about it
that when
is,
players were making
he made
40, 50,
15.
$60,000 a year?
He made $15,000 a year. Now I
Yeah.
will give you this: my
See,
dad and mom bought their first house in 1969 for like $14,000 or $15,000. So 15 grand wasn't bad back then. But it's easier to buy a dude off that ain't got a lot of money. It's going to be really hard to go to, as Joseph Michael says on here. Why would you have to fix a game when Jimmy G is under center? That's for you, Dan. So you
I
should
love
shave
that.
your beard for,
I love
Joe.
that statement.
But, so yeah, I mean, I think it's possible a game here or there could have somebody that does something they shouldn't do. But overall, I think that it's all fixed. Number one, why in the hell are we even watching then?
I
Nobody. I mean, it's like 1919. The reason they were so hard on those guys is because they brought in Kennesaw Mountain Landis to make sure
Landis, yeah.
nobody did it again, which is
Right,
why
right.
Pete Rose still in the Hall of Fame. So
Right.
Steve Ramsey asked a question: does the NFL punish refs and umps for the wrong call? Non-calls were obvious calls to be had. So my
They
take on
do in a
this.
way. They do in a way.
Yeah, they
Well,
do.
no, they
yeah.
did because the guys did the Bengals Raiders games weren't allowed to do another game.
Yep.
I think I have seen where guys have been fined a little bit before here and there. But what blows my mind, and this is why I think people think this is fixed. I think people think that like Andy Reid is an absolute genius at football and would never screw shit up. And when he screws stuff up, they're like, "Oh, there! He would never normally do that because he's a genius." But he is a fallible person. I watched Bill Belichick outcoached by Doug Peterson and Tom Coughlin in Super Bowls. Everybody is fallible. And I think that people put NFL players and NFL officials and NFL head coaches at such a high standard that when they screw up, they obviously just go, well, I mean, this is fixed. Because the other thing is, if you're a 49ers fan, that was a tough loss yesterday. You go into the fourth quarter up 17-7, you think you're going to the Super Bowl. So you think, there's no way in hell that could just be on the up and up. But it is, because I think the great thing about sports is it's the only true reality TV. You actually see what goes on. Patrick Mahomes, they're calling him Superman 1 minute, and the next minute, he throws 3 straight passes that are absolutely horrible. So since he's been built up by Tony Romo and whoever else to be Superman, when he screws something up, people think, well, no, Tony Romo said he's Superman, so he's throwing the game. Make any sense?
That's a funny observation, Mike, because it never once. I can't remember the last time it's entered my mind that I thought an NFL game was being fixed. I thought, what is this coach thinking? What the hell's wrong with this player?
Yeah, Steve, you know the
But
difference
I
between
know, it's
you
just-
and most
I just-
people, though. The difference
Yeah.
between you and most people is you played sports at a high level. You saw Isaiah Thomas play like crap in games and get in trouble by night. You know what I mean?
And I also
Makes
played for
mistakes.
one of the most integrity-laced coaches. If you can't say anything bad about Bob Knight about never being an integrity person.
Actually, you can, but
No, not in basketball court. He
now
played
we're
by the
talking.
rules. He played honestly.
Yeah, there's no problem with that, but integrity was some of the stuff that happened. But we're gonna get off that because I love Bobby Knight anyways, and I'm not gonna sit here and talk shit about
But
it. So.
it's funny that it never entered my mind that the Bengals that game was fixed so the Bengals could win. I'm not going to take that away from Joe Burrow. I wouldn't insult Joe Burrow that way.
Yeah,
I wouldn't insult Zach Taylor that way.
And the thing is this, though. The first play where Higgins gets grabbed, it would have been a touchdown, and they didn't flag it. All right? That makes me think, well, now we're going to watch. Because I will, just because of people like Mark who say,
everybody misses calls.
Hold on. But I would say invariably, in almost every game, when I see a call like that, I'll see another call that goes the other way. And then
Right.
when you get on the Bengals Facebook page, you got Bengals fans that this game's fixed. 15 minutes later, though, the call went the other way. You go on the Chiefs Facebook page,
Great
and the
call.
Chiefs fans are going, this was fixed. Because it's not. This is the thing. And I'll say it again. You've got 50-year-old men trying to keep up with 25-year-old men. That is an issue. I think you also have an issue because these guys should be paid better. If you paid all these officials $1 million or $2 million a year, they already have really good jobs for the most part. I mean,
They get
it's
paid
hard to buy them
$500,000
off.
a year, don't they?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, after taxes, it's like $200,000.
Well, it still puts them in the upper 1% of the United States of America.
I don't think $200,000 puts you in 1%. Top 10%.
Yeah, it does.
Probably.
Of course it does.
Oh, I don't think so. Dan,
Go
what do you
look that-
think?
Look that up. Somebody look that up on
Dan, how
Facebook.
much money do you make a year? And then we'll figure out what Steve make and I make, and we'll just call that the national average.
I'm going to be below that line.
Okay. All right. So,
Where's the meatloaf?
the Rams 49ers, the most interesting thing to me, and we were going to talk about the new NFL coaching hires, but I think maybe we ought to come back and do a separate show by itself there because I think by the time we get to the end of the week, most of these jobs may be filled.
Oh, you know how much time I spent studying that today? Because that's what you were going to talk about.
We're almost an hour.
We're not going to talk about McDaniels, about Haskett,
All right,
about
let's do that real quick.
Eberflus, about no, don't. Let's do it
We
another
can't.
day because that's a whole show in its
He
own
drives
right.
me nuts like that. Oh no, let's not. Let's do it. Let's not. You know how hard I studied? I didn't, but I did. I won't remember it tomorrow, but we could do it today. But let's just do it tomorrow.
I got Young and the Restless, man.
Yeah, I mean, once he watches Young and the Restless, he
Victor
forgets
Newman
everything
is on the
else.
warpath again, and he's taking down some people, including his own kids. So today was a brutal Monday, and that
All
doesn't
right.
usually happen on a soap opera.
How about this, Dan? Have we ever seen two receivers in the same year have a year like Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel? Both over 2,000 yards. I think Kupp is the better receiver. I think Samuel is maybe he's the best weapon in football. He's basically a bigger, stronger version of Tyreek Hill, and he's never been arrested.
I mean, that last part is worth its weight in gold these days.
Yeah,
But he's what Cordero Patterson
should be.
should be. Yeah. What they drafted him in the first round to be, what he's bounced around to be, he's what Cordero Patterson should be. And I tell you what, comparing these two guys, if you told me at the beginning of the season, both of these guys are going to have over 2,000 total yards this year, I would have laughed. I would have said, okay, let's put some money down on it, and I'll take the under. I'll take any amount of money for the under. And I would have lost a lot of money, but you know what? A lot of kudos goes out to both these players, especially Deebo. Deebo came out of nowhere to do what he did this year.
Well, and the thing about Deebo is I think on almost any other offense outside of Kansas City, he probably wouldn't be used this way. He would just be a wide receiver. And I think that's the great thing about Shanahan. But I do think they're screwing up turning this over to Trey Lance. Not that I think Jimmy G is great. I just don't think they're going to get as much out of Lance. Now, I know they're probably going to want to run him, and he probably has some wrinkles he wants to try there. Maybe it'll work. I mean, he's been to the Super Bowl once, so he obviously knows what he's doing. Steve Ramsey says, you three crack me up. Thank you. I would like to let you know, Steve, that all three of us are being completely serious, too. Joe has a good idea here. Dan, will you at least shave one eyebrow? How about this? If the Bengals beat the Rams in the Super Bowl, Dan, you shave one eyebrow.
Nah, I don't have nothing against it. I have nothing against the Bengals.
No, that's bull crap because you know what? I don't care. Because Steve already gave the answer I would have gave, and that's the fact that you're not man enough to live up to the bet you made.
Right. No,
Is
his
that not
integrity
right,
went out the door when he didn't honor
Yeah.
the other bet. I'm done with it. He's got no integrity in my book anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a mouth on the show with us.
Yeah.
He'll be gone. He like Teets and the rest of them.
Teets is still on with us, dude. He just does the NFL show or the NFL draft show.
Yeah, well,
with
you know,
Dan.
those guys, who's the bonehead from Canada that came on with us and used us till he got
that was your boy Lucas.
Lucas, yeah.
I
See,
never
those guys
liked him in my defense.
This is what Kornhauser will do. He'll abuse us. Him and Teets will go off and, you know, they'll go find a different network and they'll
Hey,
do it
that
there.
is awesome if Dan does because the Athletic
No,
is
I'm
where
all for
Lucas ended up. So what the
I'm
hell?
saying his integrity level is out the door with me.
Oh, come on.
People want to make a commitment.
Years.
They bet. If you bet, we got time for a great story.
How long is it?
I can shorten it up real quickly. You guys ever heard of a card game called AC Doocy?
Yes, I've heard of it.
Go between. All right.
Yeah,
It's a simple betting game where you put two
we always
cards.
We always called it in between.
In between. Yeah, same thing. In between. Well, we used to have a Thursday night card game, and we were all kind of young, so we were all making a ton of money. Well, one night we were playing real quickly, and the pot got really ugly because it kept getting burned. Okay, and when I say ugly, the pot had gotten up to like $900. That's how bad it. And that was, we're talking about guys, an assistant golf pro that made $12,000 a year. Okay, so the pot's at $900. He draws an ace and a 2. Okay, so he's like, $900. That's my rent money for the next 3 months. Well, he bets the pot. All right, he bets the pot, and this broke up friends over this. He bet the pot. He drew an ace.
Ooh.
You burn the edges, you pay double.
Yeah.
He had to put $1,800 into the pot. Well, the son of a buck doesn't have $1,800. So half the people, he's over here crying. My wife's, I don't have and I'm thinking, bullshit. You were going to take the $900 if you won.
Yeah.
You were going to walk away with that. You put your $1,800 in or get that. And we were playing in the bar at his club. And the long story short is they let him off the hook. And a bunch of us walked away and said, never playing cards with you guys ever again in my life.
Back the next day and beat him with a bottle and took his money and his wife.
Trust me.
Damn.
You make a commitment. You make a bet. You honor your bet.
Yeah,
otherwise, you're no good in my book.
Dan, once the March Madness is over, about middle to late April.
Well, I don't gamble.
Me and Steve are coming to your house and we're going to shave you on air.
That sounds awful.
It will be. Why are you laughing? You don't see me and Steve giggling like little girls. You're getting nervous.
I'll do one better.
Around. You know what? He looks like Patrick Mahomes in the second half yesterday.
I'll just tar and feather his ass.
Tar and feather?
Yeah, right in your face. Big old slap of honey, and then put some feathers all over it. Then you got to shave it off.
No, you don't use honey. You use glue.
Glue or honey, whatever. Something that the feathers will stick to. Then he's got to shave it off.
You remember that guy that used to do the show with us that time you beat him up?
Oh, yeah, I remember him. Did he get out of the hospital yet?
I think he's dead, Steve.
Oh,
shit. Oh, no.
Yeah. And that guy's dead because he said that Peyton Manning was not as good as Matthew Stafford.
Nah, Peyton's a god. I love me some Peyton Manning thing.
You know what Peyton Manning is to me right now? He's a funny comedian guy to put on TV and let him do his shtick on TV right now. His playing days are over. His career's over. I'm done with him as a football player.
And actually, if Tony Romo could be a play-by-play guy in the NFL playoffs, Peyton Manning could. But now he's kind of a joke with the commercials and everything else he's done.
Yeah, he's funny. And I tried watching some of his ESPN things he did with him and his brother.
Yo,
that was fun. Lame. That was hard to watch.
Nah, he had some fun stuff.
He had some fun stuff, but to watch it for an entire game, it made me want to go back.
There
you go,
Joe. Joe, here you go. Here's Joe's warning to Dan. Steve is going to go all 1750 on your ass. Joe knows what that's like because he used to play football for me. And Joe used to make me mad every once in a while. Just every once in a while, though.
All right. I think back to where we were. The second game was a really good football game for the most part.
Well, we've seen 6 straight really good football games.
Yeah, it's been the best 2 weeks of football in the NFL for a very long time. I can't tell you when it's been more fun. You got the up and coming, the Cinderella team marking its way through. You got a transformation of 3 new quarterbacks. You got all pretty much name brand teams playing. With the exception of the Bengals. But the Bengals are going to, they're the Cinderella. So they've been invited to the dance now. And what a weekend for the NFL. It makes you sick how much money these guys are making off this.
Yeah, and they still can't take care
They
of
can't
former
pay
players from the
former
60s
players.
and
Yeah,
70s.
right. That's what's sick about it. Don't talk to me about putting $10 million into a fund for them. Give these guys about $10 billion and pay them retirement what OJ's getting to be retired.
Well, now, OJ actually played before 93, so OJ's not getting a whole hell of a lot either. And
No.
the worst part about it is I interviewed a guy that played for the Rams, still holds 4 Rams records. He played from like 58 to 1968, and his pension is $1,200 a month.
Damn.
Which is really
That's
sad. But
for the NFL to be making the money they're making, there's another show.
Hey, but this is the thing. The problem here is the players that played, in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, never cared about taking care of them. They just took care of themselves. And that's how you end up.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
But
that's a shame.
The guys that played like in the early 90s or the 80s wouldn't get anything either if it wasn't for guys like Jerry Ball, who it was really interesting because me and Matt Andrew Scavage, he used to do the shows with me. He was a 49ers fan. That was the only drawback with him. But because he always made fun of me about beating us in the Super Bowl twice. But we had Jerry Ball on one time to talk about, we'll get to your question here in a second, Steve Ramsey. He wanted to come on and talk about, I think it was 1993 or 94 when the NFL PA basically sold out the old players. And it's a really, really good interview because I asked him one question and he talked for the next hour. And the things you hear that guys like Upshaw and them did that were in charge of the NFLPA is kind of mind-blowing. Steve Ramsey, real quick. Antonio Brown's career over, ? Steve, is Antonio Brown done or will we see him again?
Sadly, I think you're going to see him again. I think somebody will pick him up. Guy's still got talent. But, I tell you what, it's a situation where if Brady can't control him, nobody can.
Dan?
If he doesn't respect Brady, then he's not going to respect anybody. So he shouldn't be. It should be over. But I got a feeling somebody will pick him up.
What do you think, Dan?
I think it's over. He's 33 years old.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
He's going to be 34 in July. And let's be honest, guys. Father Time always wins, unless you're Tom Brady, in which case it doesn't matter and you just do whatever you want for, till you're 50. But no, Father Time always wins. So eventually his athletic ability is going to deteriorate to the point where he's no longer a viable top 3 wide receiver option on whatever team he plays for. And while someone might want to give him a shot, I know he's been trying to play with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and they certainly need another receiving option out there to give Lamar all the help he can get.
Lamar don't need that though. They need to actually they need to go spend some money getting Lamar an actual number 1 wide receiver, so Lamar's got a chance. Joseph, we'll finish it with this, but Steve, they're a not-for-profit organization. What do you mean? All right,
they gave up gave up that non-for-profit 4 or 5 years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, they gave it up.
They didn't want the government prying into their books.
Yeah, because also people started to catch on that they were not for profit. So
right.
The thing that's mind-blowing is Congress approved them to be non-profit. Like
just
60s.
like the NCAA. How the NCAA remains not profit is beyond me as well, because they're not for profit still. So
Joe says, I know it was a joke.
It was a joke, yeah.
But it was a true joke up till a few years ago.
Yeah, it was. They only recently gave it up because the NFL started wanting to probe into their finances, and now they're getting to be a non-profit. But we all know that story.
All right, betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes, so you don't have to. Head over to their website now to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. Betting.net. All right, guys, tomorrow I will be back with Joe Kelly, our special guest David Fulcher, and Ty Robbins on the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show. When do you guys want to do an NFL show? You free Friday, or you and your mom going out?
I gotta have dinner with my girl. No tomfoolery.
You ain't got no girl. Have her on the show.
I had one question before I didn't realize we were wrapping up the Rams 49ers.
And thank you, Joe. Joe said good show.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for being on and being a local a supporter. I don't mean a jock sniffer at that either. So, the chuck that Garoppolo makes at the end, wings it underhand, really dumb play or just a desperation?
Desperate.
It almost worked. I mean, had he not gotten swung around, the only thing that ball just sailed on him, it would have been dead in the guy's numbers.
Wasn't it third down at the time, too?
Yeah, they had another play to go.
So, I mean, my thing is this. Yeah, it's stupid, but he's got a minute
He's
left.
dead in the water.
He's desperate. I'm not going to hold that against him as bad as, the interception we saw thrown in the end zone underhanded by Carson Wentz earlier in the year.
That was still the dumbest play in the NFL for the year.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not going to hold that against him too much because I think the way that game was going, he could have shot it out of his ass 85 yards to a wide open receiver. And
it wasn't going to matter.
But, I mean, the Rams by then had all the momentum, and they were killing that 49er offensive line. Steve Ramsey says, thanks, guys. Who day?
Who day?
Who day?
I'm all for who day.
Yeah. We should have worn your Bengal shirt.
I'm saving it for a picking night.
Okay. Well, we'll pick 'em our nose sometime. You want to go? You guys want to go Thursday night?
For pick 'em?
Yeah. Not really pick 'em. We'll just talk about the NFL head coaching hires.
Well, we got to have a pick 'em. We got to pick the game.
There's no game this weekend, Steve.
Oh, that's right. There's not.
Yeah. So the teams take a week off, but that doesn't mean we have to take a week off.
Oh, see, Dan, now that we're in a tie, he's not going to make us count the Pro Bowl as a pick 'em game.
Count it if you want.
No.
Let's do it.
No way.
To count that game.
I ain't watching that. They don't even tackle each other.
Yeah, they don't even put on leg pads.
My God.
That's a joke.
I know. That's not real football.
No.
Damn. That's like
That's actually
for rich guys.
Okay, we're done. But I was going to say, how stupid is it even to even play that game?
It's real stupid. It always has been.
Yeah, so dumb.
It was really stupid back in the days where those guys needed the money and it was actually a football game.
You know what would be fun would be to pick your Pro Bowl team and then turn the teams into like a Superstars competition. Remember that old show?
Yeah, they used to do that.
The Superstars. Just do quarterbacks accuracy, AFC quarterbacks versus NFC quarterbacks accuracy.
They tried that, though, and I don't think anybody watched that either.
No, nobody, but who watches the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Mike, you know what happens Sunday?
What?
NASCAR at the Coliseum. At the Coliseum in L.A.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up. But remember, Friday afternoon, me and Steve will be doing the NASCAR
They took an entire
show.
Football field at the Coliseum and concreted it over for this race.
Well, if they don't draw much of a crowd, it'll be just like USC or UCLA playing there. Unless Reggie Bush and Carson Palmer show up. So really, it'll be the same damn thing.
I know what I'll be watching Sunday. I may even go to it if I can get a press pass from the Grilling Truth.
You probably got to ask more than 4 days ahead of time, Steve.
Yeah.
But we could have because we've been credentialed for NASCAR before.
Okay.
So all you had to do was ask, Steve. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Bengals show tomorrow night with David Fulcher, Drew Kelly, myself, and Ty Robbins. Do you have a shooting to Jay, which we know what that means in Germany, but do we have a shooting to Jay with you and your friend Bobby tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll be on at some point.
Remember, I got 8 o'clock, so you got to.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be before your show or after, but we'll be on at some point.
You got to be done 10 minutes before me.
That's it.
But all right, and since it's a Bengals show, it may go all night with David and Joe telling old stories about 1988.
I can see I'm no longer invited to the Shooting DJ show, which is good for me.
I thought you were already going to be on tomorrow. It's just he never. Isn't that weird?
My name wasn't mentioned at all.
It's freaking weird how he always tells you he wants you on, but then never tells you when the show is.
I know.
Even when he's sitting here talking to you.
He's pissed at me because I called him out on his integrity.
All right, you tell Steve what time you and your boyfriend Bobby
I have got to study.
Show.
I have watched 2 NBA games all year.
Wait a second. In Dan's defense, he told you last week, I want you on next week, and you said, I will study.
But who'd have thunk we'd had this week of NFL football?
It's a hell of a weekend.
We didn't have it on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, though.
Hell of a 2 weeks.
Saturday. But, all right, Steve wants to get off the subject, so I'll get off the subject. I'll defer to his age over your beauty, Dan. Even your dog laughs, Steve.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's no beauty with Dan. All right, guys. We will see you next time. Make sure you check out Dan at
DB Talking Sports. D as in Dan, B as in Bob.
I thought you were going to say D as in Dan, B as in sports. All right, Steve Risley, S Risley 34. You can follow me at Grilling Truth. Make sure you go like us on Facebook. Remember David Fulcher tomorrow night on the Bengals show. Reggie Williams will be with us next week, also working on Kenny Anderson and a few other guys. But for now, for Dan Kornhauser, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grilling Truth, where the legends